Okay, what's up? This is Gumblar. I'm a bit nervous. Okay, let me try this again. What's up? This is Scrublord and we are fresh off the new ban list. The firewall FTKs are gone, but creeping up from behind us are two decks packing two of the most oppressive win conditions in recent memory. I'm talking about Rhongomyniad Turbo and the Gumblar Hand Loop. Now these decks aren't quite FTKs, but I mean basically they're FTKs. In this video, I want to dissect how you can beat the two most notorious decks emerging in this December 3rd, 2018 format. Now, the end goal of Rongo Turbo is basically to end on number 86 with a stack of materials underneath, which wipes your board, stops you from summoning, which includes kaijus, and grants itself effect and battle immunity. Then the Gumblar hand loop uses cards like Aqua Dolphin and the big boy himself to eradicate your hand before you even start playing. Now, what these decks have in common is that they're both very combo oriented, which can usually be answered with hand traps, but the new ban list actually gave combo decks a serious advantage when it put Call by the Tree to grave. When it put Call by the Grave to tree. Call by the Tree. Okay. One of the best ways to hit both of these decks is Impermanence, and that's because it has the enormous advantage of escaping Call by the Grave. You just cannot let your disruptions, your only chance of slowing these decks down, be stopped. Now, I know how expensive Impermanence is, so I actually have two relatively creative budget options that I want to talk about in a moment. But before I get to that, I need to mention Gamma. PSY-Frame Gear Gamma is another way to interrupt these decks without worrying about Call by the Grave. I mean, it can potentially be stopped by Ash Blossom, but these combo decks are not running hand traps going first. They want to maximize their chances of drawing cards that actually advance their strategy. Now, both of these decks typically run a Dark Warrior engine, so the cards you typically want to negate with Gamma or Impermanence have to be either Isolde or Summon Sorceress. But we're so focused on stopping the key cards that get them where they're going, I think we neglect a core mechanic of the Dark Warrior engine that they both exploit, and that's banishing. The Phantom Knights all banish themselves to generate advantage. Phoenix Blade banishes cards to add itself back to hand. In fact, with Armageddon Knight at 1, players are now banishing him with Phoenix Blade, summoning him back with Levier just to get his effect off multiple times. Well, enter Chaos Hunter. Imagine at the cost of discarding a card, you not only turn off their Phantom Knights in the graveyard, you turn off Phoenix Blade and you get a 2500 body on the board. Chaos Hunter just leaps out of your hand during your opponent's turn and pressures them to answer it if they want to properly combo off. What's also nice is that her banish restriction only affects your opponent. So if she lives until the next turn, you're perfectly free to banish cards if you need to. It's just only your opponent is stopped. A similar card, if you're willing to risk Call by the Grave, I mean, it's not going to be in every single hand that they draw, is Artifact Lancia. It turns off banishing, and if it resolves, it can actually be better than Chaos Hunter because, well, once it resolves, there's just no answering it. They just can't banish and they just can't do their combos again. The final hand drop I want to mention is Winter Cherries, because she gives you the option of eliminating their end goal. With other hand traps, you disrupt part of their combo and maybe they can work around it, but with Cherries, they now have to find something completely different and less degenerate to do. Another card I think is worth mentioning is one that's been blowing up on social media with regards to countering Rongo, and that's Xyz's Encore. The interpretation of this card is a bit controversial. Some people say it can't affect him, some people say it can. Let me just read part of the card effect for you. It says, target one face-up Xyz monster your opponent controls that has Xyz materials. Detach all materials from it, and if you do, return it to the extra deck. Then, actually, that's really the only part that's important for this discussion. Now, Rongo is unaffected by card effects, but when this card targets, it's actually a cost and not an effect, because it comes before the semicolon. So it can target Rongo, But what's controversial is whether the effect of detaching all the materials actually affects Rongo or affects the materials independently of the monster that they're attached to. Now, even though this isn't 100% confirmed, I still think it's something worth paying attention to in case it does become a viable strategy in the future. A couple of honorable mentions: if you're going first and your deck can pull off Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, that can really interfere with the Phantom Knights and even the danger monsters that they use as engines. There can only be one, really cripples them because they use so many warriors. If your deck can run Rivalry, I think this is really good since it prevents them from using warriors to go into cards like Summon Sorceress or even Gumblar for that matter. And they can't go into Nightmare Phoenix to out it. Even something like Dimensional Barrier can be good against the Rongo deck, maybe not so much against Gumblar. And with all that, those were my top picks for countering Rhongomyniad Turbo and the Gumblar hand loop, because both of these decks use very similar cores and engines to get to their end goal of utter oppression. If you agree or disagree, feel free to let me know. I mean, I'm just a scrub, but then again, I'm a scrub lord, and thank you for watching.